Welcome to Metal Gods TV.
Hard Rock Hell with the guys from Living Colour. How are you
Two of
guys?
them anyway.
Yeah, two of them.
Vernon Reed, the guitarist. Doug Wimbish, bassist.
Well, you guys have been around a long time now and you're still rocking out. How do you do it?
Pacing.
I blame Vernon.
Pacing ourselves. You know, music is one of those things, it's one of those activities that's, it keeps you youthful, keeps you, I love it. I mean, we love it and we're not jaded by the process. I mean, playing, we dig it.
Yeah.
You know, so we actually have a good time.
Well, I've seen some sort of videos of you lately, and you don't seem to slow down a great deal over the years, which is good. You know, and I noticed that with Ugly Kid Joe last night as well. They've never been in like 20 years, and they're sort of jumping up and down. I think, and then the other guys are slowing down. Do you look after yourselves differently to others? You know, like some guys hit the booze and hit the whatever else.
I think we just look after ourselves
Yeah.
consistently. You know, some bands, you know, find a way to get engaged in all the other extracurricular activities that goes on with the legends of rock and roll and all that other stuff, but there's a price to pay with that at the end of the day. So there's sunrise and sunset. Before sunset happens, I'd like to still enjoy the light by staying happy and healthy.
I got a great lesson from Keith Richards. We were on tour with the Stones, and I asked him, what's it like to be a living legend? And he said, Vern, being a legend is easy, the living is hard. And now many years on, I get it, you know, because like certain things, like our instruments demand a certain kind of physicality. The music demands a certain kind of physicality. And if you don't engage at a certain level, then it just doesn't happen. So things like, you know, going to the gym, like a couple of years ago, you know, I decided to go, or like little things like exercising, push-ups. I mean, it seems like it's not even, it's just to be able to be free, you know, and not rely on how I played 10, 20 years ago. And it's just not capitulating. I mean, it's weird. It's weird. It's like on the one hand, it's accepting that you're older, but it's not capitulating to decline.
We're blessed to be joined by the legendary and the one and only Will Calhoun, drummer.
Drummist.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and you?
I'm all right.
Just walking around.
I was bad Thursday, but I'm all right tonight. Thursday night's party night for the press, so we really hit it hard. So you guys have been sort of, well, I don't know, across a long time. What sort of set are we expecting tonight? Are you gonna get stuff from across the board?
Yeah, a few things from different, you know, from different records.
Yeah.
Some stuff from, obviously we play some things from the first album. We're going to talk about the set. We have things that we pull in and out and we play around with. We actually have a couple of even covered things that we go, oh, you know, like we take songs and we put them away, and then we'll go, okay, let's do this and pull it back out again. So we have that kind of thing. We have like a baseline of certain things that we do. Like we're always going to play Cult of Personality.
Yeah.
But we have a baseline of certain things that we do, and then we go, you know what? Like the other day we played Which Way to America, which was 100% apropos because our country is having a nervous breakdown, you know. So, you know, but then we played a song by Blur, you know, because we just dig it, you know what I mean? And we're that kind of band. From the very beginning, we had a lot of different kinds of things. We had a funk thing, we had a hard rock thing, we had a metal thing. That's just the way, that's just the band's DNA. So really, we're looking forward to having a rocking good time. We're up for it.
Yeah.
So.
And what do you think's changed over the years? Because like you say, Cult of Personality was a big hit, got in the charts and this, that and the other, but it seems to be, lately, it's hard for that sort of thing to break now.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic for fans because the actual industry has changed quite a bit. So you have people who can just download things, or you have different in terms of hits. The industry's kind of changed in a way to me where you can focus now on your fan base. It's like a fan base instead of just a generic base.
Yeah.
So people who like Living Colour may also like Fishbone, may also like Bad Brain, just these kind of communities now. And it's happened to us on both sides of the equation, even for example, for music shops. You know, there's guitar shops and those stores are all closing down. Everything's becoming more homogenized. So it's difficult to have young people who want to maybe see a bass Doug plays or a guitar Vernon plays. It's not in the store.
Yeah.
So when we were growing up, we saw Jeff Beck, or we saw whoever it was that was playing guitar at the time, and you were able to see that guitar or play that guitar, plug it in. So you also lose a little bit of the fan base there, I think, because some of that connection between being turned on by music, not only the band, but the music actually. Even if you don't like a band, you may just want to play guitar now, or bass, or drums. That industry suffered as well. So hits, it's interesting you talk about hits, because that also connects to, I think, just the entire concept of reaching people musically now. It's just a different vibe. So it's important for us to play live.
Yeah.
Living Color is a different kind of an experience live than it is on the recordings. It's very important for us to get out and play and let people know how we sound, and what Vernon mentioned, cover tunes and things we like to change around and have fun with, because the experience now sometimes is, I think sometimes very immediate and not so spiritually connected. It's very, it's very quick, and it's like a fast food item. It's like boom, boom.
I think we'll hit something that one of the things that we deal with, and this is true of all of us that are in this mix, we have to deal with the fact that the meaning of music in society has shifted.
Yeah.
Like what it meant, like say, take for example, the beginnings of hard rock metal. It was an exploration. It's parallel to hip hop. It's parallel to everything was a new thing. A new boundary was crossed. The first time cats came on and put makeup on their faces. The first time, a band like Korn, different tunings, things like that. But also, there's a price to be paid, because everything becomes bigger, bigger, bigger. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a thing. And then it's easy to lose the meaning, the excitement, the thing that was there at the beginning, and that's a struggle. People have got a lot. There used to be, if you saw like Sabbath on TV, you'd be like, yes, to see something on TV. Now, videos are everywhere on YouTube, and it's become almost like a debased coin, because you can get it anywhere. You can get it any old time. People used to line up to buy records, because if that record was coming out, the music had to be encoded on a thing that you had to buy, and it meant something to put your money, your dollars, your pounds, your whatever, to buy that thing. The thing that created all of this, like the early blues rock people, they were obsessive about records. They would get these rare records and they would study them. And that was the baseline of how all this thing grew. Now it's like there's no search. You don't have to go search. It's right there. Just Google it and get it. So you're not putting skin in the game. Like it's a convenience, and we pay a price for convenience.
And do you think there'll ever be bands from now that are going to endure as long as you guys now, or do you think that the industry's just changed that much, it's never going to happen?
You can never say never. Like you can never say there's never going to be anything new. I mean, people in the 1800s said everything useful has been invented, and they were proven wrong. Yeah. Like there are things that we can't imagine. No one could have imagined hip hop. Really, it's a confluence of all different things, including technology, including like all these different things. Doug was at the beginnings of that. It was a revolution, and people was like, oh, it's gonna be here and gone. Yeah. And now it's like rock and roll. Now it's a big industry, and it's having to struggle with its past and where do we go from here. So, but to say there won't be another incredible character, you can't say that. You can't say that.
It's interesting because I think right now, because everything is so immediate and everybody needs things kind of quick, fast, in a hurry, they think that, what like Vernon was saying, what Will was saying, to summarize it, there's a lot of things we had to wait for, because we didn't have all these things immediate to us. So you had to wait in line to get a record. You waited for your favorite band to come to town. You looked at the album covers. You read the notes. You saw who the artist was. You started to get into the dialogue. It was like records were almost like a part of my diary. Sixth grade, I was listening to this, the soundtrack of my life, right? Now, because of the convenience of technology, you can, you wait to see a band on Monday, on Saturday. On Monday, you could review it and see it and everything. And by Tuesday or Wednesday, that's already behind you. in a sense, you know, it's not that urgent anymore. You're on to something else. So there's a sense of people experiencing things and thinking that they, because of what they saw on YouTube or whatever, they think they have the experience of, or I know what's going on with this band because I saw it on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. The lasting effect doesn't last that much. Now they're on to something else. So what they felt on Monday, they might have been really engaged in it. By Thursday, they're looking for the next thrill vibe. So it doesn't seem like it has a lasting kind of vibe. Could be wrong, I don't know. But I just think that our generation was blessed to have a certain sense of support and a certain sense of, you had to get a book out, you had to read the book, you had to actually do things in manual mode, you know, you had to get with your friends and seek and find, and hey man, can I borrow your record, Vernon? Hey Will, what's that record? It was like you had book clubs, you had to borrow things from folks. Now it's like the sense of conversation doesn't take place as much now. You look at people now when they're sitting down, they're on their phones and they're on their iPads, and the conversations don't take place like they used to happen before. And I think it's that kind of energy that kind of created a lot of different ideas. And well, just, you know, my generation, I'm quite sure the same is happening right now. Maybe it's being dealt with differently. But to summarize it, I just think that we're at a point now where we have technology and we have a lot of things that have taken place, a lot of historical things that have taken place, a lot of great bands that have come over time, and now things are just so immediate that doesn't have that lasting power. And people think that they've experienced everything because they watched it on YouTube, and they feel that really Living Color is so no, well, hang on a minute, they've done Cult of Personality and blah 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 blah, and maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And then and that's what you see in all music, that's what you see on the top paragraphs of any, you know, you Google somebody. So I'm gonna, you know, and that's kind of how people are referencing things in a sense. So it's, you know, you have to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
We're a band that we have to just
It's very interesting, you know, like there's a thing that's going on now. They say the vinyl has made a kind of weird comeback.
Yeah.
And that's because a certain amount of young people are kind of, they're not completely rejecting technology, but they're nostalgic for a thing that they didn't live through.
Exactly.
So that's an unusual, like almost sociological phenomenon to be, well, going around and buying 45s or trading albums and getting together. That to me, I hear it's happening, and it's amazing that it is happening. Of course, it's very niche, and it's almost like now all of us have to be kind of niche bands, fringe bands. We have to bring our fan base and do things for our fan base. Like we have to make certain items available. It's about merchandising, you know, like t-shirts, hats, the gear, what have you, pins. Because since music is no longer physicalized, then we're relying on other items. And weirdly enough, you know, if a band has their merch game really tight, you look at them and go, wow, they've got a bunch of different items, and that's a part of what's necessary now to survive in the environment.
And finally, because you guys have sort of been touring a long time, you've toured loads of different bands, and have you seen a band that you could say they've been the next headliner of a big festival? Because they seem to be struggling to get the next one along. It's always the old school they turn to, like Sabbath, Metallica and all that. But have you seen a band that you think, I think they could do that?
Before you get to that answer, which I'll let those guys get to that, but I think, ironically, you asked that question, and part of what Vernon said relates to that question. Those bands were built at a time when you had to have an opportunity to be built. Now I think the opportunity for big bands are to be dismantled in some ways. So it's a very important question, but a lot of what he stated is just people are going to that as sure bets because it worked 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and they still sound great live. It's obviously that too, but it's almost difficult now for, I think, a younger band to get in a Sabbath kind of position outside of a hardcore fan base, wherein you had let's just say their map was built on radio, posters, swag, playing stadiums. It was a very tangible experience. So it's definitely doable, and there's great bands out there. I'll let these guys get to that.
I just think Will's right. I just think that there's such great DNA that was taking place from, you know, all the earlier bands that start, you know, that were engaged in rock, metal, however you want to define that. Look around, look at the young kids. What do they have on the back of their jackets? Black Sabbath. You know, they have these iconic bands that, you know, AC/DC, you know what I mean, what they're wearing. They might be 20 years old, but they want to feel that. They want to feel like they're okay. They know that there's a lot of DNA that lies in that, and then you can look back and say, well, the DNA that was going from that came back from blues. You could go as far back as you want to dig deep underneath the veneer. I just believe that now is a time when, you know, there's an opportunity for everybody to be able to, you know, you all want, everybody wants to find their lane, but a lot of the bands that are happening, that are coming out right now, in a sense, there's a lot of borrowed information from some of the earlier things. We all borrow stuff, but the thing that gets me is when people don't know the history of what's going on. So a band is there and they're playing like, and they're like, okay, this is a Led Zeppelin based band, but maybe some of the younger folks are like, well, I don't know, this is all new to me and stuff like that. So, and it's all good. Everybody's gonna vibe the stuff the way it is, but there was so much value in the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, you know, the Who, you know, and all these iconic, you know, English bands, and then there was the American bands that were, you know, that were quite iconic as well, you know, and you know, it's kind of we're at a point now where, like, where's that super originality to a certain point? Where is it? Is it? You know, we all borrow something, but is there something where it's like, man, that's like,
somebody doing a fundamentally different approach. I mean, I'd like to shout out this band. We're doing a tour currently with Alter Bridge, and there's a band that's on before us called Like a Storm, and there are a bunch of guys. There's some Americans and guys there from New Zealand, and they're doing something really cool. They're a solid band, and they play a variety of styles. They're heavy, kind of heavyish, but they're very cool. I like them a lot. We just played a show in France with a band called Monster. It's like Monster where he took an N away. It's a rap group, electronic, with guitar player, live drummer, rapper, and really, really cool. Their music, I liked them because they just, it's not brand new, but it's well done, and you know, and the components, the players are solid players. I think for bands coming up, they've gotta, you know, there used to be a time where you could be in your loft or in your garage, in wherever you were, in your basement, and develop without judgment. You do what you do, and you take it to the pub or the club, and it would work or not work, and then you get back. Now, with YouTube and the whole thing with the people making comments, I think that there's a lot of negativity that's thrown into the mix, and I think it's almost like it can be almost a kind of a policing effect, you know. And if somebody, you know, it's like if somebody goes up and they're trying something out, you have to be able to try something and have it not work. You have to be able to do that. And a lot of the bands that we consider great, if you listen to early tapes and early things, you would be horrified. But what happened is they had the guts to go up, fail, and then go back to their laboratory, lick their wounds, and make it happen again. And we're in a very, at least there was a sense that, okay, that only happened in front of 10 people or in front of 20 people or whatever. We'll figure it out. But now somebody shows up with their cell phone, and if somebody's, they're a little on edge now, then they see the comments, you suck, you're this, you bop, 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 bop. And that can be a very, especially for folks that can't get away from this. Yeah. Like, for us, we remember before there was this. Yeah. And there's a certain generation that's like, turn that off. I think about our kids. They don't have that option. This is what they've grown up with. And that's something to really get. It's easy to say, hey man, turn that off. Don't pay that no mind. But if this is what you grew up with, it's not so easy.
It makes us we're old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're old, Dad. What are you
Cassettes.
talking about?
Yeah. You ever see a video like kids reacting to cassettes? It's amazing. It's amazing. They look at the cassette. They're like,
what the hell is
what
that?
do I? You have to put something.
You have to hit rewind.
And when I bought this truck, couple of years ago, I have a lot of cassettes. So I went to I live in the Bronx, I live in the city, and I went to the car deal. Most of those radio car shops are young guys that put the big speakers in the car to work on the rims and tint the glass. Most of the guys are 30 and under. So I put my truck in there and I said, yeah, so I want to order a radio with a cassette player. And they're looking around. They didn't even know what I was talking about. I said, no, we have
Blink.
the iPod plug-in. You can get a screen, you can get a flat screen. We have HD. I said, yeah, no. I want a cassette player. And the boss had to come out and say, okay,
That's a special order.
let's see what we can do. What's not funny is it was a special order. And we looked it up. There were 2 radios, not in that store, in the warehouse where they ordered the stuff from, that had cassette players. Because I have so many cassettes. I don't want to get rid of them. And when I'm driving around a lot, that's the time to pop them in. And the sound is, I think, better too.
Yeah.
So when you talk about that kind of thing, it's interesting. But I had an experiment with my son when he was really small. He was 4 or 5 years old, and I was teaching him about album versus CD. He used to call the vinyl big CDs. And I used to play records for him to hear how the records would sound. Especially he liked playing Vivid because it was our record. And then he said something interesting to me, like about a year or so after that. One time I came home and he was trying to put the record on. I said, what are you doing? He said, I prefer the bigger CDs. and that was like something that was interesting. Vernon's talking about it, but it's just the exposure of it and to see. Because some of the DJ community escape the vinyl now. You have the samplers. You could become a DJ in 20 minutes. You can just read the manual, put the programs in, and you can scratch by hitting the button. But there were DJs who had the talent, some still do, on the definition of vinyl and how it works. So, I'm hoping it's going to be. I don't mind technology and how things change, but I think it's important that we have those grassroots. I mean, you want to look at it in a different way. It's like farming versus, getting food another kind of a way, through some kind of a fast food purpose, or having these kind of commercial farms versus a farmer who plants food and has his fingers in the soil and that kind of thing. That does taste better. It is a better experience for the food, which is a better experience for you. It's the same for me with music.
Yeah.
It's interesting saying that, going back to what Vernon was saying earlier, it's like, right now there is a curiosity about analog and about vinyl going on right now. And like anything else, if you keep your shirt long enough, it'll come back into fashion after a period of time, right? So now there's a point of separation. It's like everybody's bundled together with MP3s and digital, everything like that. So now there's the audiophile crew. There's some folks that are still always been there. A lot of times they're older, you know what I mean? Because you have to invest in, if you really want to be a real audio head, you got to invest in, the proper power amp, proper turntable, Macintosh, the needles. So I think now it's a point of like it's everybody's got everything here and everything. But like Will was saying, like his son, like with records were something that you had to protect.
Yeah.
You had to preserve. You had to have a sleeve. You had to make sure it didn't get scratched. You'd be pissed off if you let your friend borrow the record and it came back scratched. You want to make sure that he could find it and get it. There was almost like a code of honor to like make sure that you're preserving this wax, and wax is earth. So it's oil, and so I think now the good thing is, like, that I see now, okay, everything's gone, plug-ins, computers, blah, blah. Now what do I see now? Back to the old school, if I look in a gear magazine, what am I seeing now? I'm going to see Dave Smith's analog keyboards, Mini Moogs coming back out, Prophet 5s, the old Voyetras. I'm going to see, and they're selling for a fortune right now. You know why? Because it separates. There's a point of separation. There's a certain amount of need and investment that you're going to have, because you can say, okay, why am I going to buy? I'm going to spend $4,000. Now, if I spend $4,000, I can get a laptop, I can get these plugins, you can get bundled up right now. You know what I mean? But now, if you spend $4,000, you will get one Dave Smith keyboard. Now, so you have to be willing you have to be willing to commit to what is that piece of gear I'm getting. Okay, but the difference is that keyboard will still have its value. It might go up or down, but it'll have its value 20 years from now. The plugins and all the stuff, you won't be able to load those things up later on in your computer, because the computer is not going to be, it's not going to accept it. It's going to change. So that's why now You know, I look at Sweetwater, which is a magazine that comes out. There's a company out in Indiana, and I'm looking at, and I go through the stuff. What is the most expensive stuff I see in there? Analog microphones, preamps, all the stuff that we grew up with. We're analog heads. You know what I mean? So now there's, you know, do you wanna invest in getting a mini Moog, a Fender Rhodes, clavinet, you know, an organ, or, you know, then again, now you can get things that have that good quality. Nord makes good keyboards. Nord makes, there's instruments that are made that blend the things right. But you're gonna spend some coin on. You know what I mean? And it's worth it.
It's like funny, like you think about it from like guitars, right? I played ESP guitars, and then I played Hamer guitars, I played Parker guitars. Now I'm playing PRS guitars. And it's very interesting, the degree, you know, I also have Strat, I also have a Les Paul. And it's interesting how things come in vogue and then they go out of vogue. Things come in and things go out. And now a lot of folks are back into having a Les Paul.
Exactly.
Are back into having like a I mean, everybody's doing everything, but it's interesting to think that the progression of technology and instruments would be the end of a certain thing. Actually, that's not the case, because, you know, there was a trend to hotter pickups, and then people go like, well, you can have a hot pickup, but the tone is just a harsher tone than like lower level pickups, and so the pendulum swings one way, and then it swings back. Now you see people with Jazz Masters and Strats and Les Pauls and Hagstroms and obscure brands that people can pay that much, as well as totally custom things, you know, as well. So it's very interesting to see where people, you know, whether you have a multi-effects or have a pedal, or now there's modeling.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then people get into a thing about, well, now you have to have an Axe Effects because the Axe Effects is, you know, the thing. It's a great device, but really Line 6, Boss, all of these companies, you know, all of these different companies are building things that work. You know what I mean? It depends on how much you want to work with whatever it is to make your own sound. Just think about the Kemper profiling amplifier. I mean, all of these things where you can take this thing, you can model your favorite little amp. I mean, the technology has moved into this weird zone where digital completely emulates analog, but does it actually like pretty realistically. So it's really all what we decide that we want to do. And with all of that stuff, people are going back to pedals.
Yep.
You know, it's all of it's on the table. The main thing that I'm concerned with is that people have their own voice. Whatever they're using, it doesn't matter. Plug straight into the amp, have a rack system, have crazy whatever. But the main thing is, who are you and why are you? Who are you and what are you trying to do? And if you can answer those questions, you can plug into whatever you like or not. But those things, like people having chops, it's great, incredible, impressive. Why? What's the, you know, Tommy Iommi had a context for the things he did. When Eddie Van Halen but Randy Rhoads was doing his own thing. Randy Rhoads was doing his own thing. Robert Fripp was doing his own thing. All these different guitar players, you know.
Bernie Reed was doing his own thing.
You know what I mean?
That's how we do this.
That's what gives this thing life. That's what gives it, you know, the fact that Clapton is not Hendrix, is not Van Halen, is not Robert Fripp, is not, you know what I mean? That's what makes it, you know, that's what makes it happen.
And as for Living Colour, how long have we got you left in the UK now?
Today.
Today, that's it.
Today we go back to the continent, and we finish up with Like a Storm and Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
Like a Storm, us and Alter Bridge, and we have a few more shows, and we end I think in the Netherlands, and then we head back. But our new record Shade is we're in the final touches, finishing stages, and we're looking to put that out in the first quarter of
nice
2017.
And you'll be back touring that, will you, later
Yeah,
in the year?
we'll be back. We will certainly do that.
What But that's why, you know, it's good to be here, you know, to just to talk to folks like yourself and give ourselves enough setup time and, you know, remind people that, you know, we do have this product is coming out. We have been working on it for a while. You know, and also, you know, hoping that good media sources like yourself will be able to, you know, spread a little bit of the gospel, not just for Living Color, but all good bands. You know what I mean? So that we could be a part of the conversation, even if it's one sentence. But that's, you know, it's interesting because every event that we get asked to go to, you know, we learn something from. You know, and, you know, like we played Shiprock before, which has been great. Now here we are playing here, and it's like these clubs, you know what I mean, of folks that have taken it upon themselves to say, okay, a lot of stuff's going on, but we want to keep this energy going. So every time we find a way to be invited to a gig like this, it's, you know, that's been going on for 10 years. I learned that they also have an Ibiza as well and stuff like that. So I didn't know that, you know. So I'm getting a lesson of what's going on, and then, you know, walking around yesterday, just seeing some of the bands and getting a lay of the land and checking out the landscape. It's good for me personally to understand what's going on. What are people liking? And, you know, we're kind of aging with some of the fans as well. You know, and how you know, and where's the are they a Cookie Monster? Are they digging Cookie Monster stuff? Are they digging? Is this some White Snake stuff? Is it kind of where you know? But we find ourselves not in any of those kind of genres. Solely, we're quite diverse. Yeah, we do what we do. We do what we do, and depending on how the set is designed, you know, we can morph into a lot of different things. But it's, you know, it's good to be able to be here, talk to the press, and be, hey, Brandon's still here, Corey's here. I gotta go get Corey right now, but that's it for me. I gotta go get Corey right now.
So eventually,
all right,
you just live in colour, guys.
Thanks
a lot.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Cheers.
May God have mercy on your soul.